Big Guy DIY Robert, coming to you with possibly a review. I don't know till I open these packages up. As you saw in my earlier videos, I worked on my rear receiver or hitch on my truck, but at the same time I wanted to replace the backup lights. And let me show you what I got here. The backup lights, because I have them installed directly into the bumper. All the crap that is kicked up from the rear tires hits these directly. There's nothing that covers the back of these as they're mounted in the rear bumper. So they're exposed to the elements. And the thing is in New England here, we use on the roads something called salt brine. We also use salt, and we also use sand, which depending on the town or the state that they use for sand, that sand can be almost like gravel, a lot of stones, and they get kicked up. The worst one is the salt brine. Salt brine is extremely corrosive. There's been lawsuits against the state for using it because it's so corrosive on vehicles, on bridges, even on semi-truck brakes. I know the truck industry one time had a lawsuit against the state for using the salt brine. What salt brine's used for is to pre-treat roads, before a storm hits, a snowstorm. And it's a liquid, and they but they drip it on the roadway over the bridges and roads. So when it begins to snow, the crew doesn't have to go out and start plowing snow immediately. The salt brine will melt it for a while until the snow is coming down a little too hard for it to be getting rid of. So then the plows come out for it. But because it is salt brine, cars up here in New England just rust unbelievably quick now. My brother worked for the state for 30-something years, and the state has deep pockets when it comes to replacing their equipment. They had to replace dumpers on their trucks every 5 to 6 years because they would just rust right out. But meanwhile, the general public, are they supposed to replace their cars every 5 to 6 years? I don't know. So anyways, because of these lights really getting the brunt of everything from the rear tires, I wanted to replace them. The current lights still work, so I'm not going to get rid of them. What I'm going to do is sandblast them and then just put them to the side for something else, because they don't have the brightness that they used to have originally. The lens itself is beginning to get a little foggy. They've gone through a lot. So, but like I said, they still work, so I'm just going to clean these up. I'm going to repaint these just like an outdrive on a boat. I got a special primer that I use for aluminum, because these are aluminum housings. So what I've purchased, and this is what the review is going to be about, is I picked up a pair of rigid lights and a pair of Diode Dynamic lights. Let me set my camera up and I'll start opening these up. To tell you a little about the lights, alright, this is their D-Series Pro, and then they make a D-Series Regular. And on the back of the box here, model these is the Flood. FM stands for flush mount. I have the black pair, 212, 113. Here are your specs. And let's see. Above my thumb, is that it? Yeah, that's my lumens. That's how bright they are. Okay. Price of these with shipping were $2 $250 for the diodes. I have experience with these. I have these on the front end of my F150. I am very impressed with it. One thing I like about these is the lens is replaceable. So as the lens begins to get damaged from being in the front end and, you know, crap getting kicked at it and all, I can take this housing off right here and purchase a new lens and put it right back in, and we're right back to where we started with it. This one here comes in two styles. It comes in the regular 3-stage series, and then it comes in a 3-stage series Pro. The Pro, like the Rigid Pro, the Pro on this is brighter. I think it's around the same lumens as this. It's 3,000 lumens. The regular is 1,500. Why did I buy the 1,500 and not the Pro? $100 difference. This is $279 with shipping and handling. If I did the Pro, it was $379. And if I'm going to be replacing these lights, say, every 5-6 years because of the corrosion and the beating that they get, why would I spend so much money to replace it? So that was the main reason why. So what I want to do is open each package and show you what they look like inside. So let me broaden the view here. So first one I'm going to open up is the Rigid. And we'll look at what comes in the box itself and the type of connections. The connection for this is a 2-prong. If you could see in there, I don't know. No, you can't. Well, it's two prongs in this one, okay? The diameter of this is 3 inch by 3 1/8 inch, okay? So that's the cut, the size of the hole I have in the rear of my bumper. The Rigid, same plug, 2 prongs. You can just see the tips barely there. Okay, housing size. These two are almost identical in regards to the housing size and the mounting holes. No, it looks like the mounting holes are identical. I know this is 3 inches by 3 1/8. I tried this, I slid this into my bumper to see how it fits, and it fits in exactly like the old ones do. As in brightness, well, we'll plug these in, and I'll show you how bright these are in comparison to my old pair. And what I'll do is I'll do that outside so we can look at the garage and see the difference in regards to the brightness. So let's see what else we have in this package. There is no left and right to these lights. It's just whatever it is. Okay, our hardware. So we got a wire harness. You got a light switch. Stainless steel. Nuts and bolts. And you have a template for cutting the hole out in your vehicle. Now, my goal is not to replace the wire harness. The reason why is the wire harness I currently have in my truck, I used marine grade wire. Let me see if I have it, a spool of it here. This is marine grade wiring. And it's even labeled on here. The difference is I have double coverage. You have the outside cover here, which is extremely strong, and then the wire also has its own covering. When you get a wire harness for this, you only have one single cover. So if your wiring is rubbing against something underneath the truck in regards to the frame anywhere or metal, it will wear through this wire and it will short your light out. This, because this is a slippery surface on here and a lot tougher than the casing that's used on here, I've never had any metal wear out this wire and then short it out going through two layers. So I have this running from the engine compartment all the way to the rear end of my truck. If you want to see what AUG it is, I think it's the 12 AUG. I think it wore off on there. 100 feet. Okay. You can buy this online. I don't know how much it is offhand. It's not cheap, but there's a reason for that. Okay, looking at the light switch in this, it's 3 prongs. So one prong is power, one prong is light, the other prong is ground. So when you push the light switch, this will light up in the vehicle when it's on, when the power's on. So that's really it. Pretty, nothing fancy about what's inside there. Let's put these back in. So the one thing I do like about this is it fits directly into the current hole of my bumper. Stage 3. As I said, this is a lighter lumens, but the difference between the two lights is the lens. So let me bring the rigid out. This is called a combo lens. As you can see the difference. So I have the top lens is, I think it's driving lens, and the bottom is a flood. This is the lens I have on the front of the vehicle, and it works incredibly well. That's why I ordered it to try it out. Connection. I got 4 in the back here. Now, one thing I wanted to take note here is how this hooks up. Because the back of the vehicle is kicking up so much junk in the winter, specifically, I question how well this would remain sealed and avoid corrosion through the winters. Yes, I know it is a Deutsch connector. I'm well aware of that. And Deutsch connectors do have, let's see if I can find one here. Deutsch connectors do have, yeah, here you go, a rubber gasket around it. So I'm well aware of that. So that concerns me right there, where with the rigid, it's sealed from the factory. Warranties. This is an 8-year warranty. This is a lifetime limited warranty. What else? Size. I tried the size of this. This light is a bit bigger by about 1/8 of an inch in its outside diameter, which means I'd have to go and do more cutting of my bumper to get this one to fit inside. So one thing that also raised a flag with me, well, not a flag, but one thing I'm concerned is this is a 2-prong, which makes me wonder if the plug that goes in here is a 4-wire plug and not a 2-wire plug like it is on the Ridge. Okay, here it's just your power source, positive, negative. but is this designed to run just the top only and the bottom only? When I turn the light on, I want the whole light to go on in one shot. So one way to tell is I'm actually gonna, what's nice is Diode uses a Ziploc bag, so I can actually pull things out. Stainless steel connectors. Ah, look at this. This is kind of nifty. I've mentioned on my other videos is aluminum against steel don't mix. There's corrosion that takes place. And the way corrosion happens is whatever is the softest metal is going to corrode first. Aluminum will always corrode before the steel. And so when this is against steel, it actually corrodes quicker. And there should be a gasket between the light and the bumper. But when you put your bolts in, you should also have a plastic gasket between your stainless steel bolt going in and the back side, of the bumper, which is steel. You don't need a plastic gasket. You do need a plastic gasket right here, because this is steel. This is aluminum. When I took this out, the old bolts that were in here had corroded into the light. I had to hammer them out because there was no plastic gasket. So the reason I'm saying, oh, with this kit is they're giving you the plastic washers for the bolts. That's good. That's thinking ahead. So the bolt goes through the plastic washer. From the plastic washer, then you put the bolt through your light, through the front, and you have that separation of the metals. Here's another thing. They give you rubber gaskets. I like that. Let's see here with Rigid. Look at Rigid. Ooh, nice. Rigid also gives you the rubber gasket. Okay, that's excellent. That's key. Now they're bolts. Yep. Right there. Whoops. Right there, plastic washer. Plastic washers, plastic washers. All right, so Rigid is also providing plastic washers in their package. So that's excellent. That's really good news right there. Now my connectors. All right. 3 wires. That means the lights are not turning on separately. I mean, the lights are turning on separately. There's no switch with this in this kit. So they're just giving you this. So it's just the lights, the hookup, your gaskets here, and your hardware. So this is your ground. This will be one light, and this will be the other light. So because I have a 2-wire harness running through my system, this is not going to work. It's not going to work for my truck. That's too bad. I was actually looking forward to doing this, but that's why I bought 2 different kits, is so I can look at them directly and see what's going to work best. So this unfortunately will not work. So 'cause I need both lights to go on, not just 2. So that's a small review of my old light and the 2 new lights. So the Diode Dynamics, if I had, see, it's flush mounted. It also gives you the option to do bracket mounts. You just, those holes would stay open. But it does accept a bracket. But what it is this kind here is where you drop a nut in and then a bolt goes into it. So you'd have to use their bracket. With this, same thing. It can be a bracket mount. You drop a nut inside here and then a bolt goes through here. So you'd have to get the special bracket that would go into here for the rigid. I think between these, I'm going to go with the rigid just because it fits in the hole perfect. And two, I don't want to be running a second wire harness to operate one light versus the other. When I turn on the backlights are not on this pickup truck just for backing up. They're on there for utility purposes. When I'm hooking up to trailers, sometimes I'm backing a boat at night or loading a boat onto a trailer at night. I need lights to light up the whole boat ramp while I'm back there. During snowmobile season, I tow all my snowmobiles on utility trailer, and this lights up the whole utility trailer. Well, not the whole utility trailer, but a good portion of the utility trailer, so I can see what I'm securing on my snowmobiles before I hit the road. Also, with these backup lights, if I have a breakdown or a flat tire on the side of the road, I turn these lights on so I'm seen. This has happened once before when I was going on vacation. I got a flat tire on my boat trailer, and it was at night. And I had some blinking lights out there, you know, the cheap LED ones that you can put out there when you have a breakdown on the side of the road. But they weren't that bright. They're cheapo. So what I did is I put these lights on, and people can see them long before they get to me. So everyone on the highway actually steered clear of me because I was stuck out there for a couple hours. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm not going to use the diodes, I'm going to plug in and show you the difference between my old set and the new set. Obviously, the new set's going to be a little brighter, but I just want some people to see what it looks like once it's installed. So I'm glad those rigids came with a gasket, because I was actually thinking of buying something called Starboard. Let me grab what it looks like. This is Starboard. This is something that's used in the marine industry. I have this in black, obviously. I also have it in white. It comes in a variety of thicknesses. This is 1/4 inch. I also have it in 1/2 inch. I use this on any boat that I may work on because it's pervious to that environment, that salt environment. It's never going to break down. Even if it's in direct sunlight, this stuff does not break down. It does not become brittle, does not become soft. It can take the elements. I was going to make gaskets out of this and put them between the bumper and the light. So it would be here. Okay. The reason for that is to keep this separate from the bumper, being this aluminum and the bumper steel. But because it comes with a rubber gasket in it, I don't need to do that. I don't have to make one, which is, I'm glad, because this Starboard, just to have a 1/4 inch, a sheet of, I think it's like 1x2, it's like 60 bucks. It's very expensive, but it lasts for a very long time. So next time we come back, I will show a light test on the back of the garage door so you can see how bright they are. And then we'll install these. and show you how I install them. Actually, this will be simple because I'm using my current wiring. There was one thing I wanted to say as I was ending the other video, or ending the video on the lights. The brand, the Diode Dynamic light. If I wanted both LED lights to go on, I could just put both wires together, and then I have a 2-wire setup. All right, here's the light test we're going to do. I'm approximately 35 feet from my garage, which is roughly a good distance because if I had a boat or a utility trailer attached to the back, it's going to be approximately, the end of it's going to be approximately where the garage is. I mean, for a 23-foot boat, it's going to be further back. But for my 20-foot utility trailer, this is roughly the length. Remember, even though a trailer's 20 feet long, you still have the tongue of the trailer itself. So what I got here, I got the ridge, or rigid, one side. I have my old brand here, which I never said anything about. It's called Tuff Stuff. They no longer make this light. I think I bought it 6 years ago. Tuff Stuff is still around. They do a lot of overland products. So, but unfortunately they don't make this light. And then I have the Diode Dynamic light. So remember, this is a flood. This is a combo. So we got the flood on the bottom, and then like a spot or a driving light lens on the top. And then this is a flood. So what I'm going to do is we're going to turn off my light up here, and I'm going to set the camera up, and we're going to plug in each light so you can see the difference on the garage. Alright, I gotta wait for my interior lights to shut off here. Or, there we go. Alright, first light I'm gonna plug in is my old existing light. That gives you an idea of the spread on that light. All right, we'll disconnect this and we will plug in the rigid light. As you can see, it definitely has a wider throw. Out to here. And well over here. And wow. It is a lot brighter than the old light. So let's plug in the old light and we'll see what the overlay is. So, rigid. Tuff Stuff. You can see it's a much smaller lens. So let's unplug both. And now we're going to do the dynamic diode. Now what I did on, let me do this here for a second so you can see my face. One thing I wanted to say with the dynamic diode is, remember there's 2 power wires. So I tested it because I was curious. One wire is definitely for the driving light lens, and the second wire is for the flood lens. So I got actually both wires together, so I'm powering both sets of LEDs to give you an idea how bright it is. And you can see how narrow this light is. In terms of luminance, the ridge is much brighter. I mean, this is a very defined light. That's why I have this lens on the front end of my truck. I have the driving lens with the fog lens, and it lights up the road perfectly, lighting up the ditches on each side of the road. So at night I can see that when I'm going. It allows me to see any wildlife that may cross the road before I get to it. So let's go back to the rigid. Yeah, that's a better light. I like that. So I guess next we'll I'll just install the lights and show you what they look like after they're reinstalled, these new lights. So time to put everything back. So let's turn this around and see what we got. So as you can see, this is as the housing began to corrode on the bumper. The aluminum just runs down. That's corroding. So we're going to clean this up. This is the product I'll be using. I've used this before a lot on boats for cleaning aluminum and stainless steel on railings and windshield frames on the boats. So I've never tried it on the chrome bumper, so we're going to give it a shot, and I'll show you what it looks like inside. So inside is this oil cloth. You don't remove the whole thing. You don't remove the whole thing, you just remove a piece of it. It's been soaked in a product, so you just take a small piece of it. See, it's layered. You just rip that one piece off, put this back into your can, but flip it upside down because it's been sitting in the can for a while and all the product is sitting on the bottom, the oils. So you flip it back upside down and it'll run through again. And you just rub this on. Now once it's on, just leave it on there for a moment. I'm going to go do the other side. Now, depending on how dirty it is, You could save it, put it in a Ziploc bag and reuse it again, or put it in a tin. I'm going to put it in a tin because this is really not that dirty. And I'm just going to put it right on the top. Next, take one of those microfiber towels and wipe. So I got most of the corrosion off. I think what I'm going to do is do a little compounding underneath here. See if I can get this just a little better, as you can see. Alright, took the compound to this. This is what I use for a compounder. Same thing I use on boats. And I just did a little metal compound on here, and I got that nice and clean. So let's open up the hardware for this light and show you what I got and why I chose this light. Well, besides it being brighter. Alright, the old light just went in. The new light, we now have a gasket. Gasket goes on first. Now, I'm going to have to touch the holes up a little here because I can see they're off just a pinch, but like very slightly. So that's not going to be a big deal. I'll just enlarge them a little. So that's one important thing I was pointing out earlier, is this gasket. It separates the steel from the aluminum. Hardware. There's 4 bags. Each bag contains 2 bolts, 2 fender washers, 2 plastic washers, a regular nut, and a locking flat washer. And that's important because these are regular nuts and they won't stay on. They'll work themselves loose through vibration. So this will help keep it on. So as you can see, here are the plastic washers. These are important. The way they work is plastic washer has to go on first, then this goes through the light, and then on the back side, you don't have to do a plastic washer on the back side because the back side is steel and this is stainless steel, so you don't need this insulator washer in there. So it'll be plastic washer as it goes through, then you do washer. Trying to hold this here with 2 hands. Lock washer. Then your nut. So that's the pattern that this has to go on when you're installing the light. So I'm going to get my drill and enlarge these holes a little bigger. Plus, these are bigger than the originals as well. Next bit, this is a countersink bit. It's gonna get rid of the rough edge right on the outside of the hole here. So this is flat. Rough edge can also cut you. The header bolt takes an Allen wrench, now, my original wiring is going to fit into the new wiring. I don't have to change the end here. It's literally just plug and play. And that's it. The other thing I'm going to hit as well, just remember when I welded this onto my other video, it melted my cover right off. On a company called E-Trailer. I tend to buy some stuff from them. eTrailer.com. You're able to buy just this receiver part, so you can see in here, and it's a stock receiver part to slip and fit right inside the exact OEM housing that's on the hitch. So I just unplug it from the back here on the old one. This slides right in, and then that's it. It's ready to go. I was thinking of relocating it to up here when I put the plastic bumper cover back on, but the problem is there's no solid back to it. It's just plastic. So if you get a wire harness that might pull the wrong way on this, there's a probability of it being pulled out of the back. If there was some kind of metal backing to it, back plate to it or something, I would do it. But since this is metal and it's welded in, and the clips to the inside of the steel here, so this won't ever get ripped out, I'm keeping it in a stock location. So let's set the camera up. We're doing time lapse and get this back together. So there we go. I know I did this in a two-part video. One, repairing the receiver. Some people call it the hitch, but really it's the receiver. The hitch is the part that goes into the receiver to hitch onto trailers. New rigid lights with 3,000 plus lumens, and then that new piece of steel that was welded in there. Now of course I got a new right there, new electrical connector for the trailer. I have to pick up a boat tonight, and I need these lights tonight because the boat's located in a house with no lights in the outside. So if you got any questions in regards to what I did or any comments, leave them below. Please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. So this is Big Guy DIY Robert signing off. Have a good one.